Is neural machine translation for me, or is it for you more to the point? Should you even use machine translation in your organization? How and where should you use it? Importantly, which machine translation engine should you use? Almost always, the answer to these questions is, it depends. Hello, John Tinsley here, and in this video I'm going to try to answer some more of the practical questions about neural machine translation that we haven't covered in other videos so far in this series. As you can probably imagine, we get asked a variety of different types of questions about machine translation. And as I said, the answer to those questions almost always is, it depends. So what does it depend on? Of course, it depends on you, who you are, who your organization is, what you need machine translation for, your use cases, your volumes, your content types. And the answer, in short, is you have a lot of options. But firstly, I need to say, if you work in the legal profession, the pharmaceutical industries, IT, customer care, or a range of other enterprises that we've covered already in this video series, the answer to this question is yes, you should be using machine translation. And I would encourage you to go and check those videos out to see the how and the why of that. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more nuanced than that in this video, because with everything in life, as with machine translation, there are trade-offs that you need to consider. There are trade-offs in terms of cost, in terms of quality, in terms of security, in terms of flexibility and the versatility of the integration that you need. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about what works for your business and what's best for you and most fit for purpose. In this video, I'm not going to cover the industries that we've already talked about, but I'll try to talk about some other aspects and some other types of end users of machine translation, such as casual users, professional translators, LSPs, and other industries similar to that. So what are the options that you have? Broadly speaking, you have three options when it comes to machine translation. You have the online machine translation tools that we're all familiar with. You can build your own machine translation tool and technology in-house, or you can buy machine translation from a commercial provider. Let's look at each of those in turn and see what you should use and why. So with online machine translation, these are the ubiquitous tools that we're all familiar with. They cover all languages and all content types. They're quick and they're easy to access. And in many cases, these tend to be broadly used by casual users of machine translation, by the person on the street, or for kind of incidental translation needs. But aside from that, they're not really that broadly used across enterprises for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier on, whether it's to do with information security, flexibility of deployment, the inability to customize them to any sort of depth. So our recommendation really with online machine translation tools is if you're happy with the service that they offer in terms of cost, quality, information security and things like that, then these are a really amazing resource and tool for you to use. But obviously, if those services don't check the box, then you do need to look for alternatives. So building your own machine translation is another option here. There are a lot of neat open source tools out there from academia, from the large IT companies that are an option for you to use here. I would caution that machine translation, perhaps more so than other artificial intelligence and machine learning applications, requires a lot of expertise. So if you are going to go down this path, I would say don't underestimate the investment at the outset. Otherwise you might end up burning a lot of time and money. But if your use case kind of matches this, is quite narrow, and you have a lot of data and you have a lot of expertise already in-house, then this can be a good option for you. The third option then is, of course, to buy machine translation from a commercial provider of this type of technology. Obviously, setting biases aside, if you're doing anything business critical at any scale across a variety of different content types and languages, letting the experts take charge tends to be the best course of action and will ultimately deliver the best results in terms of what you need for your particular business case. So then when you're selecting which tool and which provider to use, it's really again a case of determining what you need and making it be fit for your purpose. So again, do you need something that's more general purpose, or do you need something that's more industry specific? Because again, some providers specialize in certain industries and domains, while others provide a more general out-of-the-box service. What languages do you need machine translation for? Again, some providers offer a limited set of languages and specialize in one or two, whereas others have quite broad coverage. So again, it's about thinking what are the requirements of your business. A critical aspect here around perhaps particularly information security, is the deployment method, whether you can use cloud-based machine translation or whether you need something on-premise behind the firewall. A lot of the providers, almost all providers, will have some sort of cloud option, but if you need something on-premise behind your firewall, which is typically the case in regulated industries or where you're dealing with personal information, then maybe you need an on-premise solution. So again, you need to determine whether that's something that your provider has. And then on the other side of the coin is what the user interface actually looks like. So whether you need a connector into an existing tool in your workflow, whether you want a standalone web application to use, or whether you want access to the machine translation provider's API so that you can actually build some sort of custom integration. This is another consideration that you need to take into account. And then anything else that they do around the machine translation in terms of the file formats that they handle and the other workflow solutions that they offer. So to an extent, when going this path, there is a little bit of upfront consultation required with your machine translation provider, but it's ultimately only there to make sure that you get the best solution that's most appropriate and most fit for purpose for your business. And this is a little bit of a catch-22 situation here in the industry, in that probably the most frequent users of machine translation, the casual users, the professional translators and linguists, are not the ones who are necessarily being exposed to the best machine translation. Translators and linguists and casual users are getting most exposure to the online machine translation tools, and that kind of can sometimes cloud their perception in terms of what machine translation can offer. So if you are a small LSP who's working with a larger provider of MT, or you're an individual translator or a linguist who is doing QA or is doing post-editing of machine translation, I would say to talk with your vendor and make sure that you understand what machine translation is actually being deployed so that you can manage your expectations a little bit in that regard as well. But at the end of the day, the summary is you have a lot of options, and as with most things, it's really about choosing the best solution that is most fit for purpose for your business and your needs. And hopefully after seeing this video and the other videos in the series, you'll have a better view of the landscape of options that are available to you. If not, you know where to go to ask. You can ask ourselves, you can check out our website, check out other videos in the series. There's a lot of information to read online so that you can equip yourself to make the best decision for you and for your business. Thank you very much again for your attention and for watching the video.